Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to be talking about survival kits. I think it's a great idea for everybody to have their own custom-built survival kit. You should have one kit in your car and one kit in your house at all times. No matter what the situation is, you will be prepared for it. There's going to be certain things you won't need and certain things you will need, which we will cover that in this upcoming video. There's going to be certain weights that'll be comfortable for you, and there's going to be certain weights that would not be ideal in certain environments. Every environment and biome of the United States is going to have different requirements for what you probably need in your survival kit. It's going to vary also based on personal body makeup. How strong are you? Are you a little bit more lean of a person? Are you a smaller person, taller? There's a lot of factors that go into it, but ultimately your survival kit will be tailored to your needs and what is comfortable for you and what part of the country you're in and what environments you think you're probably going to be going through. And we'll cover all of that in the upcoming video. So this bag here is called the Eberlestock bag. I spent about $200 on this bag. It's been really great for me for the last, 5 years or so I've had it. It holds a lot of weight pretty well. It's got really good padding on the shoulder straps and on the back plate. It does have adjustable shoulder straps as well, so you can adjust them up and down. It's got some secret pockets. I'll let you find those if you do go out and get this bag. Plenty of pockets on the outside, on the inside. Plenty of little ringlets here to strap stuff to. So if you get sheaths, you want to attach stuff to the outside of it, like a sleeping bag, tent, whatever you want to do, there's plenty of straps for that. So that's one thing that really makes this a great pack. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is, what do I put in my bag? I just bought it. What am I going to put in it? A lot of people think that the very first thing they need to put in it is water. And that's not a bad idea. There is no real rule on what you should put in your bag first off. But we'll go by pocket by pocket, and we'll see what I put in my bag, and I'll put in my take on every single one of them. On the side pockets here, on both side pockets, I have a side pocket here as well. I use little Ziploc bags as waterproof bags. Now you can go out and get a full size, $20, $30 to $40 waterproof bag for waterproofing your entire system, and you can do that. That's not a bad idea, but I just use little Ziploc bags because it's cheap, it's affordable, and they last a long time. But in this Ziploc bag, I've got a complete guide to wilderness survival. Now, there's going to be some things in wilderness survival manuals that you can't, it's hard to learn on the spot. Like for instance, like berry picking, knowing what to eat, like for plants. I would stay away from that because that is kind of dangerous. There have been instances where people have died eating a plant that they thought was good because they're referencing it from a book. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it'd be a safe bet. But there's still a lot of things in here, like building shelters, starting fires, where to find water, how to hunt, that could be really good. Now in this other pocket, I have another book that's similar. This is called the book called Bushcraft. Now it's pretty much the same book as the Wilderness Survival book, but Bushcraft is going to be more geared toward like living in the wilderness. It's not so much as surviving. So it's going to be like how to build snowshoes, how to build a cabin, how to even build a backpack using trees and limbs. So Bushcraft and Wilderness Survival, it's going to be more, those books are going to be more geared toward like the Northwest. So like Montana, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and Alaska. While you could, in essence, use them anywhere else, they're just going to be more geared toward that. If you go to like your local outfitter store, like Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops, Big Ray's, whatever you have in your area, you'll always be able to find little helpful books like this. I've even seen really helpful books in local Tractor Supplies or Rural Kings. I don't know if y'all have Rural Kings in your areas, but they will a lot of times sell books like this. And ultimately, if you read books like this and you have them on hand, and you can, you're pretty familiar with outdoors, you've been hunting, it isn't too hard to figure out how to survive in your area. Now in the front pocket here, I keep a collapsible e-tool. I will just say these e-tools cannot be underestimated on their value. These things are absolutely fantastic when it comes down to, you know, digging whatever, for whatever reason, whether it's trying to dig a short well, dig a little foundation for a teepee or a cabin or a lean-to or, some kind of shelter. E-tools are practically invaluable in an outdoor situation. For this particular e-tool, this isn't exactly the military grade e-tool. This isn't the same one I would have gotten in the military. I don't know if that's what they're issuing military nowadays. I was in the Army for 6 years, but so it might be something different now. But this one here does have a sawtooth on one side. I wouldn't recommend trying to chop a tree down with it. I don't honestly know exactly what they would use this for, but e-tools are very valuable. The next thing I keep on my bag is a good machete. Now this is an SOG Safari, I believe it's called. Let's see, Sogfari is what it's called, model. This is a really, really nice tool for when you're going through dense foliage, dense brush. It's got a nice, pretty good aggressive sawtooth on the back side of it, so you could cut down small trees for it. And it does hold a blade fairly well. I've used this one a lot, and it probably needs to be sharpened, but this is a pretty good blade. The only complaint I do have about this one is the standard sheath you get with it doesn't have a whole lot of straps. It has just one strap, and I broke that going through the woods. It'll catch. So my suggestion, if you do get a machete like this, it might be a really good machete, but the sheath is absolute trash. So my suggestion would be go get an aftermarket MOLLE sheath for your machete. And MOLLE sheaths will have tons of little ringlets all the way down, so you could either secure it with 550 cord, and then on the back of most MOLLE sheaths, they'll have little slots, but they're like hard plastic, so it's really hard to break them. So that'd be my only suggestion. But other than that, having a machete for your backpack would be a really big plus. So another little plus to this bag is on the back here, you've got these straps here. So I carry a knife on this side. So you got these little straps here, ringlets. Also, I carry an extra flashlight here. Little side note suggestion, if you don't want to carry a flashlight, that's fine. Headlamps have been kind of taking over the market as far as flashlights go. Why would you use a flashlight when you have a headlamp and both your hands can be free? Next thing that makes this bag really nice is there's little holes on the side that are designed for CamelBaks. So you can keep a CamelBak inside this backpack, and you just have the hose come out the side here, and it can run down the shoulder strap. So that's one thing that can be really nice. The little knife here, so I like knives here. I mean, most of the time if you're in a really bad area, or you're in if you're in a place where there's like a big predator population like bears or mountain lions, most people probably would have a gun. But if you're in a country or a state that is kind of strict on firearms, and all you have is either knife or bear spray, if I get to a point where I'm fighting to the death and I'm not able to get to a pistol, I have a knife right here, and obviously probably carry bear spray. That'd be my suggestion. This is where the shoulder straps can adjust. So you just unvelcro this and have the shoulder straps. Here on the side, you got pockets here, straps here. Like I said, there's tons of straps all over. So that's one thing. That's another thing I like about this bag. On the top here, so what I carry in the top, so this is all going to be extremely accessible stuff I need to get to in a pinch or really quick. So in the top here, first thing I'm going to carry is a good set of binoculars. So they don't have to be anything crazy. These are just some basic Simmons, and I think they're like 10 by 25. So they're nothing crazy, but it's enough to amplify your sight. So if you're in a survival situation where you're trying to get back to humanity from the wilderness, this will help out a lot, because you can see a lot farther with binoculars than with your own eyes, unless you're a bionic man. But this will definitely help you be able to spot a lot of things better, whether it's fire towers, radio towers, cell towers, train tracks, smoke, whatever it is. These could be a great benefit as well. The next thing I'm going to carry in the top is a really good flashlight. So I know I have a flashlight here. I just kind of threw this on last minute, but normally this is not where I carry my flashlight. But this flashlight here, I think I spent like maybe $100 for the flashlight and the holster altogether. The holster didn't come with the flashlight. This is a Night Eyes holster, but this flashlight here, this is a Cabela's flashlight. It's the T5 1000. If you look this up, it's a really great flashlight. It's rechargeable. It's got 1,000 lumens, and I think it's water resistant. I'm not sure if it's waterproof. I haven't had the package in years. So you can recharge it from the top, or you can take the battery out and recharge it from the battery, or if the battery dies, you can just get a new battery. And I think the battery takes like a micro USB. So this is a really great flashlight. Next thing I said earlier is get a good headlamp. So this is my headlamp. This is normally what I'd carry. It's a Nebo. I think it might only be like 3 or 4, maybe 500 lumens. Honestly, you don't need much more than that. I mean, if you're out in the wilderness and there's already like zero light pollution, 300 lumens is going to seem like a lot of light. You're not going to need a whole lot anyway. If you're hunting, this does have a red light as well. So animals have a real hard time seeing red light. So, and it's also a night vision light for our military members out there. So great little headlamp. I think I spent like $40 on this. So not a bad thing, really lightweight. The next thing I would recommend is, so we'll get to this later, but since it's up here on the top, I'll throw this in. So I got a lure and I got a collapsible fishing pole as well. And I think this, well, not a lure, but this reeler and the fishing pole, I want to say they're tested to like 20, 30 pound test or something like that, which honestly is all you need if you're in a survival situation. You're not going to be going out there like Jeremy Wade fishing. So the fact that I'm able to completely take this fishing pole apart and put it in this backpack is really nice. A lot of survival stories of people that have been out there and have survived, they've survived off of fish. So great little addition too. The next thing I will say that can be underestimated is bug spray. So I got this stuff. It's called Ben's bug spray. Now what makes this so great is a lot of states in the lower 48 have a certain level or a percentage of DEET that is allowed in their bug spray. This stuff came from Alaska, and they know how bad the mosquitoes are. Kind of the running joke in Alaska is that mosquitoes are the state bird. So I want to say this has got to be like 30 or, okay, yeah, I'm looking at the package here, 30% DEET. So that's a lot of DEET. I've used this stuff and mosquitoes won't come anywhere near me. So bug spray can't be underestimated, especially if you're going out into the wilderness. If you're in a survival situation, you're already going to be miserable. So having some good bug spray to just kind of help it be as enjoyable as possible would be a really big help. The next thing I would say is a lighter. We're going to touch on that later too. I go on about a whole fire kit, having a fire kit in your pack, but having a lighter isn't a bad idea either. So the next thing is having a good skinning knife. You want to have a knife that's dedicated to skinning. So this is just some cheapo. I just literally got this from a friend of mine. He was giving me a knife. So I didn't spend anything on it. You know, free is always the best price. But having a good skinning knife, something that's dedicated to skinning an animal. So you're not using your primary defense weapon, you know, for field dressing an animal that you kill in a survival situation or a hunting situation. If you have a dedicated skinning knife and that's the only thing you use it for, is a really, really good idea. The next thing I'll go for is a compass. So in this pack, this is like my little signal pack, I call it. So in here, I've got a military grade compass. I have a signal mirror, and I also have a Fox 40 whistle. A Fox 40 whistle is insanely loud if you really blow on it. So in a survival situation, it would be really, really fantastic. This mirror in here, I'll just go ahead and open this up for you all. So this mirror here, I want to say they say on, so on the back it tells you a little bit about it, how you're supposed to position it, and like what the range on it is. And then the back here is the mirror itself. And then this little hole up here, you can use it as a keychain, but it also doubles as like a spotting scope. So if you're like pointing at a plane, like if you're on the ocean, you basically look through this hole and then get the plane or whatever you're aiming this at into this tiny little hole. And that's basically what you're aiming at. And I think this mirror, if you're reflecting in perfect sunlight, has a range of like 20 miles, I think. So they'd be able to see you a long way out. So really good idea if you think you might get into a survival situation where you're in trouble. Even if you're not, even if you're really confident, I'd say it's a good idea to have just in case. You never really know. The next thing I would say in this little kit here is this compass. So having a military grade compass is a really good idea. And make sure you know how to use it. Use this and a map. And if you're going to go into, if you know you're going to be in an area, getting a topographical map of that isn't a bad idea. So I know Onyx has maps of pretty much anywhere. And while that's not a bad idea, or like using Garmin, it's not a bad idea using GPS. If that goes down, you run out of batteries, whatever the situation is, having a topographical map of the area that you're going to be in is a really good idea. Also having a GOTWA is what we call it in the military. So GOTWA stands for gone, others going, time you're going to be gone, when you're going to return, and actions taken in the case that you don't return. So setting up a GOTWA is a really good idea as well. So nobody's going to be panicking when you don't return. They're going to know exactly what to do. Make sure you have some contacts set up before you actually leave into the wilderness. And ultimately, going with another person is the best idea. The next thing I would say is a really good thing and is underestimated is I have in here a waterproof pack of, it's put in a bag, a waterproof pack of playing cards. So in a survival situation, if it's just you or maybe it's you and another person, having playing cards can actually could actually possibly save your life. And you might wonder, how would that save your life? So a lot of situations where people have died in survival situations, or they've gotten into bad, just bad morale, this playing cards can actually keep your morale up. Keep you happy, keep your mind off things. So playing cards can't be underestimated. So the next thing I've got in here, got some knife sharpeners. Not a bad idea. Keep your knives sharp. Keep them razor sharp, ready to go. Whatever it is. And these are multiple. I got 2 in here. So, one would be for my machete and for my hatchet. One would be for my knives, whatever the case may be. So have a couple knife sharpeners in there. It's not a bad idea. Also have a pen in here. I do believe I have a journal in here somewhere, if I can find it. Having a journal is not a bad idea if you're in a survival situation. Just kind of keeping a log of what has ever happened. And if the worst case scenario does happen and nobody ever does find you, they'll at least know what happened with a journal. But like I said, worst case scenario, keeps your mind off things. Another thing I'll say is not a bad idea to have is a sewing kit. So I've actually got 2 sewing kits in here, which would really, really help out. So obviously as you go through the brush, you might have like the best clothes on the market for going through the wilderness, but ultimately things get old, things tear. Second law of thermodynamics. So going through the wilderness will rip your clothes up. So having a couple, maybe pack some extra patches for your clothes, and then some sewing kits. So another good idea. Next thing is I packed some silverware. While you can eat with your hands, while you can eat with a stick or whatever, having some silverware can actually keep your morale up as well. Keeps your fingers clean, keeps your hands clean, and make sure you're not eating the wrong things. You don't know what's on a stick. So great idea. Let's see what else we got in here. So like I said, I do have a pencil. So this is a pencil, a mechanical pencil. Some people suggested having a pen in here. I mean, you can put a pen in here if you want to, but the only downside is, what if you run out of ink? I've noticed for mechanical pencils, you will have more graphite for a lot longer than you will ink. And then if you get in a situation where it's really cold, the ink won't freeze up on you because there's no ink. So that's another great option. And I must not have a journal in here. I must have taken that out at some point. But having a journal in here could also be a really good idea for keeping your morale up, and then keeping your day structured on, like, today I need firewood, today I need to go fishing, today I need to go hunting, or today I need to travel this many miles in this direction. And that is it for the top of the bag. The next section we'll move on to is going to be the interior compartment. So this next part of the bag here is another really big plus as to why I like this bag. So the main pouch here zips from the bottom here, and then you can zip it all the way around, and it allows the bag to open all the way up. So you've got a lot of room to play around with. So we'll just go through really quick. We're already pushing this video kind of to the limit, but here goes. So keeping an extra spare coat. A spare coat or a jacket in here isn't a bad idea. And this can be seasonal as well. So I'd probably actually recommend you to go through your bag and kind of update it based on the seasons, if you're going out in each season. So right now it's about fall. So we just hit November. So having just a really good jacket, at least I'm in Ohio, so it doesn't get really that cold anyway. So having a good jacket is a really great idea. Next thing, like I said, I'm just going down the list. Here, so I got one of these. I think it was a Coleman. So this is one of those collapsible pot and pan sets. So you can cook in this. It's stainless steel. You also have a pot here. You got a lid. You got a collapsible cup that you can put in there. Lids and everything else like that. So that can also be really useful in a wilderness survival situation, or any survival situation, to be honest. And that's what we'll play in with the silverware. That can be a nice pair up with that as well. The next thing I keep in there, now this is just me personally, but I keep a Bible in there just in case. This kind of make you feel like you're not alone in the world. And if you're in a really bad survival situation, just to make it, at least it helps me, makes me feel like I'm not alone and there's somebody else helping me out in this situation, and I have somebody to turn to. The next thing, now I got this from MacGyver, but he says duct tape. Well, I say Gorilla Tape. Gorilla Tape kind of beats duct tape a little bit, but ultimately, if you're loyal to duct tape, go for it. Whatever works for you, but having some kind of roll of tape is not a bad idea. The only downside I will say is most tape actually has a life on it, so like a shelf life. So it's not a bad idea to every now and then just break your survival kit apart, look at everything, make sure that it's not like getting old or rusty. So like this tape here, I'm starting to see, you'll see it's kind of like starts frilling around the edges, and it will start merging together where you won't see the lines on the side here. So when it gets to that point, it might be a good idea to get to the point, or to get another roll. But having some duct tape or Gorilla Tape, or even now they got T-Rex tape out there, having some kind of really good tape is not a bad idea. It can help you with survival situations, help you wrap up wounds, tie splints to your leg, to your arm, whatever the case may be. Tape is a really, really good idea. The next thing is having a waterproof or like a rain jacket. So this is kind of rain jacket. So it's one of these like moisture wicking rain jackets. So it'll keep the water it'll help the water to like kind of bead up on the outside of it, but it'll also help prevent me from being sweaty. So another not a bad idea. So what I do also with rain jackets is I'll get a size or two larger than what I wear. So that way, if it's a cold day, I can wear a coat over top of it, and then, I can wear my coat and then I can wear my raincoat over top of it. That's why I order like a size, 2 sizes larger. The next thing I said earlier we'd get to this, but is having a good fire kit. So this is a waterproof fire kit. So I think in here, I think the last time I counted like maybe like 10,000 matches. So this will last me a long time. So here's a little trick to packing matches. Most people, unless you're a hunter, you've been around it, you probably know this as well. But for the people that are just getting started into this, totally cool. Give you a little tip. So most people would throw in the whole entire matchbox. And while that's not an entirely bad idea, you can totally do that. If you want to save a lot of space, rip the matchbox up and just pack the match strips. So the strip where you light your match, and then put all the rest of the matches in a bag. And then I got these little match carriers, or like these stainless steel waterproof match carriers also. And then I also have another set of matches. Now I'll open it up just for this, but these matches are like these navy matches. You can find them at Walmart, but they're really, really big matches. And I'll probably go in later and edit this and I'll zoom in so you can see it. But these matches burn really hot for a while. So these would be for more an extreme situation, like if you're in a wet environment and you're trying to light something, or it's a really cold day and you can't light something. And this is completely watertight too. And if you do run out of these matches, you can replace them. I think I found them on like Amazon. You can buy like 1,000 for, I don't even remember. I don't want to throw out a number to you, but you know, maybe $10. Who knows? And then on the bottom here, under this cap, you've got the flint strike for the matches. So this isn't a bad idea either. And obviously, you don't have to use those particular matches in it. You can throw any kind of matches in there. Also, another little trick for the matches that you pack in here, if you go on Amazon, don't just go to Walmart or Lowe's or something and buy matches, because you'll notice those are like strike on box matches. You'll see on the box of matches, it will say right at the top corner, strike on box or whatever. These matches I got are called strike anywhere matches. So in essence, I can strike these anywhere. These are the matches that you see like, you know, in cowboy movies where they strike the match on the wall. That's what these are. So I can strike them on the match strips. I have that just in case, but these will strike on like a rock. I think I've struck them on a tree once, or even your knife. So those come in handy. The next thing I have here is a first aid kit. Now, for those of you who are about to go and become avid survivalists, like I want to go hiking, I want to go camping out for like a week, whatever, don't just go buy a basic survival or like first aid kit at a Walmart and say you're good. What I've done is I've gone by and bought a trauma kit. I'll buy a trauma kit, which is way more complete than a regular first aid kit, but then I'll also buy a first aid kit. I'll take them apart and I'll put them all together in the same bag. So that way it's a really big first aid kit, but it also compacts it down so it doesn't take up as much space. Also, I have a water kit in here. So you got your 2 iodine capsule things for purifying water. Now these do have an expiration, so keep an eye out on that as well. The next thing is aspirin. There is a hack where you can just boil bark from an aspen tree, but that can take a while. If you need instant relief, having a bottle of aspirin is a really good idea. So the next thing I'll say here is having gloves or mittens. So I think these here, I haven't opened these up in a while. I kind of try to vacuum seal most of my bags to save as much space as I can. But having a pair of mittens and gloves in the same bag is a really good idea. You could even go with shooter mittens as well. So you have 3 sets of things for your hands. So gloves, shooter mittens, and then regular mittens. Now shooter mittens are like mittens, but they have the thumb loose and the trigger finger loose. So if you need to shoot something, you know, you've got that. So mittens, really good idea. The next thing I have in here is these little zip tie things. So they're these little like rubber twist tie things. Those are pretty nice too. So if you have stuff you want to attach to the outside, you've got these little twist ties that you can use over and over again. Another nice thing is here is my whole fishing kit. Now, the original fishing kit I had came in a box about like this big. So it's a regular like tackle box. But what I did is, you know, remember the matchbox I told you about? Instead of just ripping up the matchbox and throwing it out, I put all the tackle in the matchbox and then taped the matchbox up. So that's my whole tackle box right there. So that saves up a lot of space. And I also have a little manual in there too. So there's my whole tackle box. So it goes from this to this. So another really good idea. I probably got like 100 tackle items in here. The next thing, I told you about a fishing pole. I can get it out without it catching on anything. Here's my fishing pole right here. Now it extends out pretty far. And I did have this zip tied, and the zip tie came undone. So, but yeah, the fact that it collapses and I can keep this whole fishing pole, and it is, let's see here for you, 6 to 12 pounds. So, honestly, in a survival situation, that's all you need. If you're pulling in a 12-pound fish, you'll be eating for a while. So, great little addition here. I think with the lure and the pole, I think or not the lure, the reeler, I think I spent maybe 20, 25, maybe $30 on it, but great addition to a pack. The next thing I packed was some spare socks. Now, I'm still working on this. Like I said, this should always be for everybody's survival kit. It's always going to be a work in progress, always going to be adding stuff to it. You know, what else do I need to my pack? So having a fresh set of socks, probably even having a good full fresh outfit wouldn't be a bad idea. So, you know, fresh shirt, fresh pants, fresh underwear, fresh socks, extra set of, you know, extra coat, all that. Having a whole set in your pack that you don't ever touch, it is for your survival kit, isn't a bad idea. A lot of survival situations where people have ended up dying or have, you know, lost limbs afterwards, is due to the fact that they weren't able to change into something dry. So being able to change into something dry and warm is a very, very important factor in a survival situation. A lot of people don't know that hypothermia starts at 60 degrees, especially when you're damp. So if you're in a situation where you know you're going to get wet and it's going to be a little damp out, especially at night, and be a little bit cool, make sure you have a separate outfit packed. Another thing is having a good knife for spears. Now, I got this knife. This is a Gerber Mark II. I have heard that the British SAS use it. I don't know if that's true or not. If there's any British SAS watching, comment down below and let me know. But regardless, this is the Gerber Mark II. It's a really good knife for making a spear. Just the way the handle is designed, and then the way the side here is you're able to take 550 cord and secure this to a good, you know, stick or branch, whatever if you make like some kind of a staff. So that's not a bad idea. I will say spear hunting can be tricky. It can be really tough. And the common misconception is you have to throw it. Most people back in the day when they went hunting did not throw a spear. They just jabbed it. But good addition. Next thing here is having a good camping axe. Whether it's chopping firewood, helping you dig something, which the e-tool is for the digging, but having a good hatchet is a really, really good idea. Next here, I have a poncho. So I know I said I have a raincoat, but a poncho is really nice because you can use it as a poncho, or if you're bedding down for the night, you can use it as a tent, so to speak, if you're in a pinch, which I'm working on getting a tent. I found one. If you want to look this up on Amazon, it's called a Life Tent. It folds down to about the size of a Coke can when it's all folded up. And I think it's like $40. So if you want a tent that's really small and doesn't weigh a lot, that'd be a really good tent. And I know some people have said they're worried about it being cold environments, but I mean, if you get a good sleeping bag, you've got your cold weather gear, you know, coat, jacket, and all that, you're kind of bundled up, you'll be fine. It's shelter from the outside. And you aren't getting rained on or snowed on. The next thing here, I think I have another. Okay, so normally I keep a Swiss Army knife here on my side, but this right here is a Leatherman Surge. I think in my opinion, this is the best. Sorry, thought I heard something. This is the Leatherman Surge. In my opinion, it's the best Leatherman ever made because it's got like 81 tools on it, and you can also buy attachments for it. So, but regardless of whether it's the best or not, I love this tool. So, really good thing there. And then also having a Swiss Army knife. Comes with some of the attachments as well. Gonna try to put some of these back while we're going. The next thing on the other side here, got some more cold weather stuff. Got a beanie here. And then the big thing is, oh, let's see, I don't even know what this is. Mittens, right. So got some good mittens here. Make sure your mittens and your cool weather gear are going to be moisture wicking, or at least where the moisture won't stick to the outside of it. Because if you start getting a buildup of snow or ice on the outside, it'll basically like you're putting yourself in a refrigerator and turning yourself into a snowman, which that is a bad combination. And that's almost it. We'll put some things away here. The last couple things here. The next thing I have is this SOG Tomahawk. You can use this for chopping wood or whatever. Honestly, I think I just got this because it looked cool. But it absolutely can be used in a self-defense situation, whether it's against animals or bipedal individuals. But in a situation where you would need something like self-defense, this would be a fairly good option. If anybody of you, whoever of you have watched The Patriot, we all know how scary tomahawks can be. But as far as chopping wood for camping, whatever, this also can be a very great tool. Pretty lightweight, it's pretty nicely balanced, and it handles well, and the handle feels great in my hand. And then obviously comes with a really great sheath. I know what I had said about my machete earlier, which is also an SOG, doesn't have the best sheath and doesn't have the best carrier system. But I will say for the SOG Tomahawk, this does have a very, very nice holding like belt loop on it. So really great there. The next thing I got in here is, okay, I thought I had gotten rid of my journal, but turns out I do have it right here. So a good notebook. This one's flexible. If you're worried about getting waterproofed, you can get Write in the Rain. A lot of you have probably heard of Write in the Rain, especially law enforcement and military guys. Write in the Rain books are really nice. You can write in the rain. I will say it can be a bit smudgy. So if you want to stick with a traditional notepad, you can get one of these and just put it in like a 5-gallon Ziploc bag, or even just a gallon Ziploc bag. So there you go. The next thing I got, now there's a bunch of these posters that you can get. I got these in Alaska. I'm not sure where else you can get them, but they're called Mac's Field Guide to, Denali National Park, or Mac's Field Guide to Salmon and Trout, Mac's Field Guide to Salmon and Trout, Birds and Mammals, Flowers and Trees. So most of these are kind of geared toward Alaska, but I'm sure you can get these anywhere else or something similar to them. Some of the animal ones show what kind of tracks they're also putting out, so this isn't a bad idea either. The only thing I wouldn't recommend using as like a guide, like a serious guide, would be the Flowers and Trees. The best way to learn about flowers and plants and all that to eat and whatever would be just to go with somebody who's actually been doing it for years. That's the best way to learn. But as far as animals go, pretty good guide. And that's what it is. That's the end of my pack. I will say, for anybody who has any questions, please reach out. Obviously, my pack is going to be a little bit more geared toward the Northwest, because that's just a part of the country I love the most. And I will say I love Alaska. So my pack is going to be a little bit more geared toward Alaska. So for like the South, for the desert, you're going to probably pack a lot lighter. You're going to be packing more light colored stuff. You probably won't need a fishing pole. You probably won't need tackle because there's not as much water. Probably, for the desert, you also might be packing more water. You may be packing a Camelback. You'd be packing like, some kind of like a water, farming system or some such thing. I will be honest with you. I've come out and flat out said to my family, to my brother, that a desert situation or like the ocean or the swamp, my least favorite survival situation. If I had to survive in any situation, it'd probably be Alaska, just because of how easy it is to get water, how easy it is to get wildlife, fishing. So in my opinion, it's a lot easier to survive in the Northwest. But there you have it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the video, and I'll keep these videos coming. And thank you all for watching, and I will catch y'all later.